If you have been waiting for a green card, whether for a few months, several years, or what feels like an entire lifetime, then this video is for you. Right now, millions of people around the world are watching the June 2026 Visa Bulletin because a single movement of a few weeks or months can completely change someone's immigration future. For some families, it determines whether they can finally reunite in the United States. For skilled workers, it determines whether they can finally file adjustment of status applications after years of waiting. For others, it determines whether they remain stuck in temporary visa status for another year or finally move one step closer toward permanent residency. Today, we are going to break down the June 2026 Visa Bulletin in detail, explain exactly how the system works, discuss what movement matters most, examine the employment-based and family-sponsored categories, talk about retrogression risks, and most importantly, explain what all of this means for real people trying to build a future in America. Whether you are waiting under EB2 India, EB3 China, F2A family sponsorship, or any other category, stay with us until the very end, because this could be one of the most important immigration updates you watch this year. The Visa Bulletin is one of the most important but misunderstood parts of the U.S. immigration system. Every month, the U.S. Department of State publishes the Visa Bulletin to announce which immigrant visa categories are moving forward, which categories remain stalled, and which categories may retrogress due to overwhelming demand. To understand why this matters, you first need to understand the concept of a priority date. Your priority date is essentially your place in line. For family-sponsored immigration, it is usually the date USCIS received your I-130 petition. For employment-based immigration, it is often the date your labor certification or I-140 petition was filed. Because U.S. immigration law imposes annual numerical limits on green cards and also applies per-country caps, not everyone can receive permanent residency immediately. That creates enormous waiting lines, especially for applicants born in high-demand countries like India, China, Mexico, and the Philippines. Each month, the Visa Bulletin contains two major charts that applicants must pay close attention to. The first chart is called the Final Action Dates chart. This chart determines when a green card can actually be approved and issued. The second chart is called the Dates for Filing chart. This chart determines when applicants may be allowed to submit adjustment of status applications even if a visa number is not yet immediately available. And here is something incredibly important that many applicants miss. Every month, USCIS decides whether adjustment of status applicants inside the United States can use the Dates for Filing chart or must use the stricter Final Action Dates chart. That single USCIS announcement can determine whether thousands of people become eligible to file their I-485 applications immediately or must continue waiting. This is why immigration lawyers and applicants obsessively monitor the Visa Bulletin every single month. As we move deeper into fiscal year 2026, the overall immigration landscape remains extremely complex. Demand for immigrant visas continues to exceed supply in many categories, especially employment-based categories involving applicants from India and China. For EB2 India and EB3 India applicants, the waiting times remain among the longest in the entire U.S. immigration system. Many highly skilled workers who came to the United States years ago on H-1B visas continue to remain trapped in temporary status while waiting for their priority dates to become current. These are engineers, healthcare workers, researchers, software developers, professors, and professionals who have spent years contributing to the American economy while navigating an immigration system burdened by decades-old numerical limits. The EB1 category has generally remained more favorable than EB2 and EB3 for many countries. EB1 is reserved for priority workers, including multinational executives, outstanding researchers, and individuals with extraordinary ability. For applicants born outside India and China, this category has often remained current or close to current. However, even EB1 India has experienced growing demand and periodic backlog pressure. If you are an India-born applicant under EB1, every small movement in the Visa Bulletin can have major implications for your case strategy. Even a one-month advancement can mean the difference between filing adjustment of status now versus waiting another several months. The EB2 category continues to attract enormous attention every single month. EB2 generally includes professionals holding advanced degrees or individuals with exceptional ability. For India-born applicants, the backlog in EB2 remains extremely severe due to years of accumulated demand. Every time the Visa Bulletin advances even slightly in EB2 India, immigration forums, law offices, and online communities explode with discussion because thousands of families are affected. Some applicants have already spent more than a decade in the employment-based immigration queue. Many have children approaching age-out risks under immigration law. Others have delayed buying homes, changing careers, or making life decisions because their immigration future remains uncertain. EB3 India also remains deeply backlogged.
This category covers skilled workers, professionals, and certain other workers. While some applicants strategically downgraded from EB2 to EB3 during previous years when EB3 moved faster, the long-term picture remains extremely challenging. The practical reality is that demand continues to outpace the number of available visas allocated under current law. And because immigration law limits the percentage of employment-based visas that can go to any one country annually, countries with extremely high demand continue facing wait times that can stretch into many years or even decades. Now let us talk about retrogression, because this is one of the biggest fears many applicants have right now. Retrogression occurs when a category moves backwards instead of forward. This happens when the Department of State determines that demand is exceeding the remaining visa supply for the fiscal year. Imagine finally seeing your priority date become current, preparing your paperwork, and then suddenly watching the cutoff date move backwards before your case is approved. Unfortunately, this is a real possibility in the immigration system, especially toward the later months of a fiscal year when visa usage becomes more difficult to predict. That is why immigration attorneys constantly remind applicants that if they are eligible to file now, they should strongly consider acting quickly instead of assuming the opportunity will remain open indefinitely. For applicants inside the United States, filing the I-485 Adjustment of Status application can be a life-changing milestone even before the green card itself is approved. Once someone files an I-485, they can typically apply for an employment authorization document, commonly known as an EAD, and advance parole for travel. This can provide a level of flexibility and security that many temporary visa holders desperately need. Imagine someone who has spent years tied to a single employer under H-1B sponsorship finally receiving an EAD that allows greater employment freedom. That shift can completely transform someone's career options and quality of life. Let's walk through a realistic scenario that reflects what many immigrants are experiencing today. Imagine a software engineer named Arjun who came to the United States on an H-1B visa nearly 10 years ago. His employer sponsored him for a green card under EB2 India, and his I-140 was approved years ago. Every month, Arjun checks the Visa Bulletin, hoping to see movement that reaches his priority date. He watches immigration news videos, checks USCIS updates, and discusses predictions in online communities because each small advancement brings hope. Then finally, one month, USCIS announces that the dates for filing chart can be used, and the cutoff advances beyond his priority date. Suddenly, after years of waiting, Arjun can finally file his I-485 application. That filing allows him and his spouse to obtain EAD cards and advance parole. For the first time in years, they feel like their future in America is becoming stable. This is why the Visa Bulletin matters so much. It's not just numbers and charts, it's real lives, real families, and real futures. Now let us turn to family-sponsored immigration, because millions of families are also closely monitoring the June 2026 Visa Bulletin. The family categories continue to reflect long waiting periods in several classifications. The F1 category for unmarried adult sons and daughters of U.S. citizens has experienced gradual movement but still faces significant waits. The F2A category, which covers spouses and unmarried children under 21 of lawful permanent residence, has historically been one of the faster-moving categories and has sometimes remained current. When F2A becomes current or near current, families can move much more quickly toward reunification. That can mean spouses separated across continents finally getting the chance to build a life together in the United States. The F2B category, which covers unmarried adult sons and daughters of permanent residents, continues to move more slowly. Meanwhile, the F3 and F4 categories remain among the longest waits in the entire immigration system. The F3 category involves married sons and daughters of U.S. citizens, while the F4 category covers siblings of U.S. citizens. For applicants from countries with especially high demand, these waits can stretch across decades. Many families file petitions understanding that the process may take an incredibly long time, yet they continue because permanent reunification remains worth pursuing despite the wait. Consular processing applicants should also pay close attention to the Visa Bulletin, because movement in the bulletin directly affects when the National Visa Center can move cases forward toward embassy interviews. If your priority date becomes current, you may begin receiving requests for civil documents, affidavits of support, medical examinations, and embassy interview scheduling notices. However, it is important to remember that consular processing timelines vary dramatically between U.S. embassies and consulates around the world. Some posts continue to experience appointment backlogs and staffing challenges that can delay interviews even after priority dates become current. There is also growing discussion across the immigration community about broader immigration reform and future legislative changes. Every year, proposals are introduced in Congress seeking to eliminate or modify per-country caps, recapture unused visas, or modernize the employment-based immigration system. Some proposals gain momentum while others stall, but for millions of immigrants already waiting in the backlog, the uncertainty can be emotionally exhausting. Families put major life decisions on hold while waiting for movement that may come only gradually over time. Another critical issue applicants must understand is aging out. Children included as derivative beneficiaries on family or employment-based petitions can sometimes lose eligibility if they turn 21 before the process is completed. The Child Status Protection Act provides important protections in some situations, but aging out risks remain a major concern for families trapped in lengthy backlogs. This is another reason why monthly Visa Bulletin movement matters so much. A small advancement can determine whether a child remains eligible or faces devastating immigration consequences. If you are watching this video right now and your priority date is close to becoming current, this is the time to prepare. Gather your civil documents, make sure your passport is valid, review your immigration history carefully, speak with your immigration attorney about filing strategies, ensure your medical exam requirements are understood, double-check that USCIS and the National Visa Center have your current contact information. Preparation matters because when filing windows open, they sometimes close quickly due to retrogression or policy changes. At the same time, it is important to remain emotionally grounded during this process. Immigration waiting periods can create enormous stress and uncertainty. Many applicants feel trapped between countries, unable to fully settle their futures because so much depends on government timelines outside their control. If that describes your situation, know that you are not alone. Millions of people across the world are navigating the same uncertainty, checking the same Visa Bulletin, hoping for the same progress. The immigration journey is not simply a legal process. It is an emotional journey that affects careers, marriages, children, finances, and long-term life planning. As always, immigration policies and procedures can change. Processing times fluctuate. Court rulings affect implementation. Executive actions can reshape enforcement priorities. That is why it is essential to verify information through official government sources. The official Visa Bulletin is published by the U.S. Department of State at travel.state.gov. USCIS posts monthly guidance about which filing chart applicants may use at uscis.gov. These are the most reliable sources for current immigration information. And while educational videos like this can help you understand the broader landscape, every immigration case is unique. Consulting a qualified immigration attorney who understands your individual facts and goals remains one of the smartest investments you can make in your future. Before we close, I want to say something directly to everyone waiting in the immigration backlog right now. I know this process can feel exhausting. Some of you have spent years refreshing the Visa Bulletin every month hoping for movement. Some of you have built entire lives in the United States while remaining uncertain about your permanent future. Others are waiting abroad separated from loved ones, hoping for the day your priority date finally becomes current. Your patience, your resilience, and your determination matter.